What's up, guys? It's your boy James, aka 68J, coming to you on this amazing Wednesday. And I'm joined by the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend. Smoke is in the house. What's up, Smoke?
What's up, man? What's up, Jay? I think this is a super, cool platform. Glad to be here. What's up, everybody that's, tuning in from all over. Excited to have a cool intellectual conversation with Jay.
Absolutely, my friend. And I tell you what, I'm really excited because I've been following your work. I can see that you're really immersed with, a lot of amazing information in the crypto space. I share a lot of your content. I see a lot of people are excited to have you on the show. So it's definitely an honor having you on as one of the guys that's doing it big out here. So, but before we even get into crypto, I always like to figure out who my guest is, what's going on with you. We had a little bit of a conversation backstage. So if you don't mind, who is Smoke prior to crypto? If you don't mind giving us a little bit about yourself.
I'll say before crypto, extremely big computer guy, extremely big into tech, modern futuristic developments. It was just always a pastime of mine. From a small child to, as a young adult, I was just always in searching things and always into figuring out how things work, always figuring out how, what's the next big thing. And even, just, of course, not calling the biggest investments, but just keeping my eye on things that, okay, one day this is going to be a big deal. One day this is going to be a big deal. And always just being ahead of the curve on that, on those kind of aspects, and outside of just sticking out in my friend group, family, my colleagues and things like that. It was just never really interested until it finally happened and things like that. But I would say I got into crypto the beginning of the 2018 bear cycle. So, a few cycles in as far as, just observing things. But 2018, I got, a little bit of Bitcoin. Actually, one of my teachers from school sent it to me. And the only reason I even was remotely interested in him sending it to me and figuring out the whole wallet situation was right after he told me about it. Well, before he told me about it, I was seeing him traveling the world and buying things I didn't think he could afford, and he never threw out exact numbers, but I'm like, okay, it came from Bitcoin though. You know what I mean? It came exactly from Bitcoin. You didn't do nothing else, but you had a teacher salary, and just take this couple $100 of Bitcoin. And in 2018, I definitely didn't have any kind of impression on the whole crypto opportunity, the investment opportunity. I wasn't even invested in anything at the time, but that was something that I had just in my possession that I just didn't really look too much into. But even though I held it and didn't look much into it, I told people about it and hey, I know this guy that got rich off of it or whatever, but still never really buckled down and did the research for myself,
Wow.
And I would say definitely looking back on it, bear market, extremely boring time, not a lot of developments going on and not a lot of exciting activity regarding it, especially after the fact that 2017 was the major headline time of Bitcoin, the first time it reached, insane prices in a short amount of time. And right after that, that 2017, 2018 bubble pop, it was pretty much lights off of Bitcoin in the media perspective, oh, that's it, it's over, whatever that digital gold thing was, it's over. And I would say definitely beginning of 2020, going into COVID, that's when I started to really lock in, putting money behind
Gotcha.
what I really believed in, instead of just telling people about it. Because that was the thing I noticed. That was, I would say, my main flaw. I was always telling other people about opportunities, but not taking advantage of it for myself. And that's, I feel that's a mistake a lot of people make. Just talking about it instead of just actually locking in on it. So definitely took a tunnel vision type of perspective on it. Watched every kind of creator that's out there, watched every single one of their videos, watched every single kind of social media platform. I, calibrated every single one of my apps and phones and to just notify me about everything. Cause I'm I just can't, cause I knew at the time, I'm behind a lot, Bitcoin came out in 2009, 2010, and it's 2020 and I'm just now starting to get wind of it and whatnot as far as seeing the opportunity.
Right.
So, definitely put more money into it, I would say that was going in Bitcoin stocks and things like that. And it wasn't soon after that when I started to really okay, Bitcoin isn't going to make me significant amounts of money after the you know what I mean,
Right.
the gains that it's made thus far and the 10-year lifespan of it. And that's when I'm like, okay, because I was in the penny stocks, you know, I'm pretty familiar about that. I'm like, okay,
Gotcha.
what is the penny stocks of crypto?
Right.
So that was kind of my next, you know, leap as far as, you know, taking it serious. I'm like, okay, if I start small, if I find cryptos that have a long-term vision that haven't necessarily popped off yet, like Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other, you know, the major coins, then that's where the, you know, the big money's at. So that's when I really started to make a serious portfolio of just, you know, accumulating the things that I could see have a long-term vision on it.
Nice. Now, what got in 18? You know, kind of going through it, letting everybody know what you're excited about. 20 said, okay, hey, let me really look at this thing and take it serious. You get in. You know, you have a background in business, tech, computers. It obviously made sense to you. What guided you or drew you in towards XRP specifically?
So I had a friend who was inside of crypto before me as well, a childhood friend, super close friend of mine, and he just texted me out of the blue one day. He was like, "Hey, look at XRP. No other details, no screenshots, no links, nothing else about it." And
Right.
you know, I was like, "Sure." It was like 20 cents at the time. I was like, "Sure." And you know, at that time, that was definitely before I was doing my own due diligence on things. But I was just like, fine, you know what I mean? I'll get a bunch of, even like right after you told me, I just bought a bunch of it. I'm like, I was in the whole penny stock phase of, you know, just accumulating assets and things like that. But XRP specifically, I would say a few months after that, because it's hilarious how the guy that told me about XRP he's not even really in it anymore. So
really?
he was just just saying it because, like, I guess he's seen it somewhere and someone told him about it. He didn't really understand what the whole story behind it was. But
Gotcha.
being like having like deep conviction and like understanding and taking it seriously was definitely because you know, there's so many distractions in crypto, you know, from Bitcoin to meme coins to whatever narrative is at the time. And I remember the mindset I had was, which ones are going to be here for a while? Which ones are going to have a long-term future? Which ones are going to be used by the governments or banks or just something that is that serious? That's not a Doge. That's not a, you know, not a, like Bitcoin was serious, but it was like I said, it was past opportunity. I still think that's like the rich man's coin, you know, if you're going to preserve your wealth right now. But the day I realized that, you know, there was a list of coins that were internationally selected to be a part of a committee to be implemented into the new system, the ISO system, I was like, okay, I found it. You know,
yeah, exactly.
There's no question about this. And, you know, definitely a narrative in the community is like, it's not ISO 222 isn't, you know, directly tied to these coins. And it's just like, that couldn't be farther from the truth. You know, there couldn't be anything less true than that, because seeing that list and seeing it published on so many serious platforms and so many serious publications and, you know, reputable sources, I was just like, okay, this is the list that I need to focus on right here and concentrate on these. And that was just a few months after, you know, I was told about it.
That makes sense. Yeah. So no, I love the story. And sometimes that happens, man. You know, I know people who had, you know, was with me in the very early stages that are no longer in it as well, because, you know, unless you're doing your research, it could be extremely frustrating. It could, you know, it could cause a lot of stress if you don't know what you're doing. And we're going to talk about some of those things in a minute, but I like to switch over to something that is very big in this community, something I'm sure you've paid attention to. And that is this gentleman by the name of John Deaton. And if you've been in this space long enough, you know who John Deaton is, what he stands for. You know, he came out with a book talking about his struggle, talking about all these different things as far as his life, really letting people know the good, the bad, the ups and downs, and letting people know that, hey, you can win. It's not always going to be a straight line or a successful run, but if you just stay the course. And so, you know, he's come out here, he's fought for a lot of people, he's fought for justice, he's fought for he's always been there for the little guy, trying to jump on, you know, on whatever side that needs, you know, assistance against, you know, seeking the truth. And so obviously we know that he's running for Senate right now. I just want to ask you, you know, if you have any opinions on him, you know, what does, you know, John Deaton mean to you, or what do you think him running for Senate means for the ecosystem?
Well, first off, shout out to John Deaton. Definitely watched him, you know, from the beginning of the SEC case. He was one of the, you know, the biggest voices that I, you know, paid attention to everything he thought as having his lawyer experience. He stayed on top of the case and even, had the same conviction and emotion as, the enthusiastic XRP community. He shared it and understood what was going on. He understood the corruption, and it's definitely it was an exciting announcement for me to see that he was actually like taking it to the next level, to actually run and challenge Elizabeth Warren. We need to get her out of there. And politics. COVID was definitely a point in time in my life where I really started. I feel like everyone can relate to questioning everything. As far as questioning our government, questioning our just society, questioning what we learn, challenging our own worldview. And that was something that I took extremely serious. And politics was something that was in my sights as something, okay, I need to understand how fake this is, because it's very fake. It's really
Right.
it's really not something that's in our best interest. The government's not in our best interest, politicians specifically, and their investment interest was leaking out all the time. And John Deaton, what he really represents at this point in time is for people who really lost hope in politics, who really believe that, okay, it's the power structure is set, the people that are there, and they're not going to change. And if they do change, it's going to be passed to someone, even more corrupt. He's definitely someone outside of the sphere of corruption that could hopefully change this tide. Of course, everything, before with election season is too early to tell, of course, but if he is successful in what he wants to do, and keeps the same conviction and the same intention that he had as he, led the XRP community through these legal troubles that Ripple has had, he will definitely be I would say a shining beacon for just hope within politics, to get people who gave up on politics, I guess, vote, participate, show that, politics doesn't have to be as corrupt as these current politicians have stained it to be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the situation, and especially here in the United States. I talk all the time about why things like this happen, and we'll get into some of those things here in a minute. But my personal opinion is, they want to control the narrative. They want to keep us in the matrix. They want to keep us enslaved in this system, not as a specific race, but as all people in this matrix where we bust our butts. I put a post out earlier. We work really, really hard. We do just enough not to get fired. They pay us just enough not to quit. And then we work our butts until a very old age where we got us by in the first place. And they love that system. It's a system that allows them to get wealthy. It's a system where they can control chaos and then offer the solution. And it's a system that crypto really is the opposite of, because, to me, crypto, and I'm going to ask you this before we get into our next question, in my opinion, and coming from my background and the projects, Brooklyn, New York, the hard knocks, and seeing that a lot of us didn't have the opportunity to dream, unless, again, I'm 6'8", not just my name. I had an opportunity to go play pro ball, but unless you could throw a football or play basketball or sing like Prince or be on TV, other than the education, it was really hard, because we both know that there's not a college course called, Millionaire 101 or How to Be Free 101. It's called How to Build Another Man's Dream. And so to me, crypto represents freedom. It represents the opportunity for people like you and I to dream again, for people in our family to dream again, because we all had dreams coming up. I mean, you come up and no matter how poor we were, our mom and dad made us, depends on if you had mom and dad in the house, but they made us think that we could be anything. And all of a sudden you get in the real world and there's, responsibility, children, this and that, things that we weren't even prepared for. And then we start settling. And so to me, again, crypto allows you to dream again. I want to get your take on that.
I 100% agree, man. One of the things that, still keep me grounded in crypto to this day, and never regretful in the years that I spent in this space, is the lack of barriers.
Facts.
There's nothing stopping anyone from getting crypto and buying crypto. And
Nope.
$100, I've seen it, people $100 to 100,000 to $1 million, and that's often no experience, no business background, no connections, no networking. It transcends race, age, location, geographically, from whatever country you're from. And that was always the angle in which I was when I started to get deep into it. It was like, if I was telling someone about it, it was like, hey, whatever you think it is, it's not that. It's not as restrictive as you may believe. It's not some sort of investment that benefits me as I tell you about it. It's something that truly guarantees you, not guaranteed you, but it's a solid path of freedom where you're in control of your money, in control of your investments, in control of your financial future in a way that when you compare it to any other opportunity or any other, I would guess, vocation or job, you know, business venture. It's like, if you go into entrepreneurship, you're going to run into barriers. If you go into, you know, real estate, you're going to run into barriers. If you go into professional sports, you're going to run into barriers. Just, I mean, of course, everything has barriers. Even crypto, you have barriers, but it's not unfair barriers. It's just learning barriers, and everything you got to learn about, you know, it's everything. If you look at it, you know, before, that's what kind of prevents people from getting into anything new. It's like, oh, well, people did it before me, or they, you know what I mean, kind of set up guardrails for people. And that's definitely where, you know, we're going to talk about it later as far as like SEC. That's just want to keep the new people out of it, you know.
Right.
And crypto is just a new asset class. It's literally a breeding ground for new people. It's literally a breeding ground to establish new wealth and concentrate your hard-earned money into actually, you know, doing something for you and creating an opportunity that, like I said, I've compared and contrasted so many opportunities, and I would have dropped crypto in a second if I found something more, you know, lucrative and more, I guess I would even say fun to be in, you know?
Yeah. No, I love what you just said, and brilliantly said, by the way, because you said some things that I don't know if out of all the interviews that I've done, I've heard anyone say this specifically, because I think people sometimes need to hear that. And that is that, you know, there's people that you've witnessed, as I have, start with $100. So many people, you know, you get caught up looking at all these big, the Raw Pauls and the Raw Pauls and the Kathy Woods, and I'm not Michael Saylor, and I'm not, and so and people don't realize, because everyone's out there talking about Bitcoin. Well, like you said, once upon a time ago, you can get, you know, dozens and dozens of Bitcoin for $1, and so you look at, and it's like, I don't know why people can't use that as a example of what the possibilities are, because there's so many projects that are so much better. So when you said $100 to 100,000 to $1 million, you know, we'll go out there and buy some Jordans that in a year they're no good, or we'll go out there and spend money on this and that, and I just think what it is that people sometimes, I remember this guy saying that sometimes if you can't fathom a different scenario, if you can't fathom a better life, a better way, if you're not willing to upgrade your thinking, then you know what, that $100 just, you know, you rather
honestly, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, please.
Yeah, one of the mindsets that I, you know, for, I would say 4 to 5 years, as far as taking crypto seriously, COVID happened, you know, the curtain was pulled back on a lot of things, money, economy, the money printer, and you know, just how things are controlled. And, you know, the number one mindset that I had is, I gotta stop wasting money. You understand? I gotta stop buying things that I want. I gotta stop just trying to chase dopamine, trying to keep up with people, trying to impress people. And, you know, and it wasn't even something before COVID that I was necessarily conscious that I was doing, but it's like, if I'm not investing my money, what am I doing? If I'm not trying to look for a good opportunity, what exactly am I doing? And it was just making it to the next month, the next day, the next year, you know, getting the shiny thing on the commercial, I decided not to be a consumer, you know, as much as I was, and just being someone that was just, you know, like I said, wasting my money. And looking back on it now, seeing people still spend their money on the same thing that they've been spending their money on for the last 5 years, it's just like, okay, this is kind of the path that I've chosen. That's the path that they've chosen, you know, as far as, you know, how to preserve my money, my hard-earned money, how to make more money, how to, you know, truly visualize a future for myself, and instead of just trying to live until the next day and then one day wake up and think I'm going to have common sense to get my life together. Like, no, you start as early as you can, as soon as you can, in the best way that you can.
That's right. And it's crazy, because I remember someone saying a while back, you know, when they were giving away all that money, and I'm not promoting this in any way, but I remember this one guy posted on Twitter back when it was Twitter, it was X now, but he was like, he knew of a person who took that free money and invested it, and now is a millionaire in crypto. And it's just like, you know, we blow through so much money. We just, and I still think it's one of the greatest secrets on the planet. And I think one of the most frustrating, I want you to talk about this too, because I think people need to hear this. I always say it's a reason when you get on an airplane, they say, you know, put your oxygen mask on before you try to help anyone else. You got to position yourself well, because what happens, kind of like you told your story at 18, you got excited and you start telling everybody. But I remember when I did that, and no matter what my position was in life, and me and my wife had done some pretty cool things, man, people weren't trying to hear it, and people still. So I said, you know what, I'm going to stop doing it. I'm going to talk to the people who want to hear it and not waste my time on the people who don't, because you know, you got to want change if you want things to change. You got to want to get better if you want things to get better. So no, I definitely love some of the things that you said early on. I want to switch into, you know, you're very knowledgeable. I can see that in your, and by the way, guys, if you guys get a chance, go over and follow my brother Smoke. You can find him on X, and his handle is at SMQKEDQG. And that's at Smoke Dog with 2 Q's instead of O's, guys. Make sure you follow my brother. He's got a lot of incredible information, doing it big, and I definitely share a lot of his content and appreciate all that you're doing. Now, being that you do your homework, you do your due diligence, obviously in the content that you share, it looks like, it seems to me is very obvious that you do your research. In all the research that you've done, and you come across, you know, Ripple and XRP, would you say in all the things that you found, and I know the answer to this, but I got to be facetious and let you tell it. Is Ripple a solid company to you?
Yeah, I'll just outright say it. Yeah, I definitely think so. And I would say the rationale that I have personally, that this is something that I've noticed, and you know, this might just be some cool wisdom that you can certainly apply to, especially in crypto, but to various different things that it's been very consistent. And yeah, well, another thing I like to say, never ignore patterns. Patterns is something that, like, even when we talk about current price action, and you know, when you look back at the cycles, everything's operating on the same time frame it's supposed to operate. You understand? Like, it's really, every time I've tried to like go back on it and think like, okay, it's not going to be happen the same way, and it does. But regarding patterns with crypto companies, you know, I say Ripple is a solid company because they have a solid CEO. You know, and I say that because, you know, Do Kwon, the Luna founder,
Yeah.
extremely erratic guy. SBF from FTX, extremely erratic guy. You know, and I would say, like, of course, no one knew before, not no one knew, but very few saw the downfall of these companies. And even I would say even more recently, the CEO of Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, he's in the X comment section, you know, cursing people out about all kind of stuff, about conspiracies and ETHGate and what's real and what's not, and just saying really just, you know, vulgar things. And you know, personally, I'm not a Cardano holder, and I feel like that would be a reason not to be a Cardano holder, just because of this erratic CEO, you know. And like I said, Luna, just a quote off my mind from Do Kwon, the founder, before he went to jail, when he was on an interview discussing how he thought it was funny to see other projects die. You understand?
Wow.
Which kind of CEO would say stuff like that? And as a, you know, crypto founder, and SBF, unlimited quotes, you know, unlimited, you know, kind of just shady dealings, you know, in the Bahamas, just the way he lived, just the deals that he made, buying into politicians. It was just, all of those things are so obvious and clear and transparent on what kind of person that, you know, does these things. It's just, you know, when I feel like it's extremely it's extremely hard to hide, you know, toxic negative traits within your personality. And it's really something that you need some a really strong level of discernment to see and understand. But regarding Brad, you know, I would never, you know, put my faith inside any human being and, you know, 100% get behind anybody, but his track record hasn't been like theirs. It truly hasn't been as erratic, even when he's getting criticized by his own community, even when he's in the face of government corruption, he still tries to keep it as poised as possible and as professional as possible. And I feel like even if he wouldn't be in the rooms that he's been in with the relationships that he's had, and Ripple wouldn't even be mentioned in such high regard of some of the most reputable international organizations if they were a shady company, unlike, you know, Luna, FTX, and other crypto companies that fell in the past, just because of just the comparison. And, you know, I might not be like specifically saying exactly what it is, but it's a pattern regarding, you know, being a gracious, poised, controlled leader and having a solid project, you know, behind your name, as opposed to other people who maybe I would say focus on negativity, give off a sense of conceitedness, you know, wish other projects fail. You understand? Like, that's definitely, it's just been a consistent pattern in crypto specifically, and it's so clear and apparent. And the true colors of these crypto founders show themselves sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, everything you're saying is factual. You're spitting bars here is what you're doing. I'll second that, because I always said, something I was taught early on by my mom, and that is money only magnifies who you are. So when you talked about some of these names, if you're a-hole, I hate to say it, you're going to be a-hole with money. If you're a narcissist, you're going to be a narcissist with money. And a lot of times what happens is, like, I'm not going to name this particular guy, but there's a CEO walking around with Gucci bags and Louis Vuittons and Lamborghinis and clubs, and I'm just like, if that would have been Brad, I would have never been a Ripple. But so if you're in business and you've been in business, there's this old saying, success leaves clues, and it's typically the things that people do when you're not watching. And so to kind of piggyback off what you said, Ripple has, to me, and there's a lot of great companies out there, but they've shown some incredible integrity, and especially through the adversity of what's been going on as far as with the SEC, this crazy lawsuit, the shenanigans is what's going on. And when everybody else was running, banks were going out of business, CEOs were taking off, companies were leaving the country, they were firing like crazy. Ripple kept expanding, growing, acquiring some of the most brilliant minds and some of the greatest acquisitions out there right now. And this is during the time where everything was bad. And so all I can say is that the day that everything comes to light, and me and you were just talking about this backstage, is everyone talked down on Bitcoin. Even some of the big guys like BlackRock and a lot of these guys, man, they were really talking down. Oh, it's crap, it's this, all these different things, until it wasn't. And all of a sudden, they're the biggest fans, they're the biggest, supporters. They're buying up as much as they can. And people need to realize that we're going to have our day, and not just we're XRP. I think utility coins and many assets are going to have their time and their day. And so, and I know we're specifically talking about XRP Ripple right now. So I think people don't understand. And me and you also were talking about how people are getting frustrated, which we're going to get here in just a second. Before we do, let's switch over, and we'll come back to that topic in a minute. Let's talk about this documentary that's being shot right now, and what it means for the space. Obviously, there's a lot of corruption, a lot of things that's been going on. And I personally have connected with Chris and Maya and what they're doing. They're, where their hearts are at. They're doing this for the right reasons. They spent their own money, and they've got some of the biggest names in the space. They got some other things that I can't talk about, but that will be announced here soon. And what's really exciting is what this documentary does for the space as a whole. Not just, obviously it's XRP Unleashed. They've got the gentleman over from ETHGate, Stephen Neroff, talking about, what happened with him. So just talk about what you think this documentary is going to mean to the crypto ecosystem, XRP, and all those who are involved once this comes out, because they're looking at pitching this thing to, something bit like a Netflix or a Hulu or HBO. So what do you think that means to crypto as a whole?
Yeah, I think the specifics are going to be like, I definitely think this is going to be a really enlightening documentary. I definitely watched the trailer a few times, catching all the details and things like that. But, just in the genre of government expose documentaries, it's definitely going to go down as one of those, major big ones. I'm not sure how many government documentaries you watch, but the government has a terrible history of being corrupt, and it's documented. On top of the fact that they have many situations where they admitted to doing the things that people accused them of or suspected them of doing, and look at it functioning just as it's intended to. Right. Nothing didn't really change. The tide didn't really change. The power structure didn't really change. But, from a journalistic point of view, this is, something great that, people want to see just laid out flat and plainly, and it will definitely go on, like, I would say, one of the top ones as far as exposing government corruption on the financial side.
Yeah.
Because of, as far as control and psyops and legislation and laws, international control, the government's always been found guilty in several ways in those eras. But the SEC Ripple case is certainly will go down as one of the most corrupt financial things that the government, just let fly by for an extended period of time. And this, hopefully this documentary does a really good job at summarizing it and including all the important details that give people the perspective that they need when they're making their proper due diligences on a investment, because there's going to be another thing attacked, you know, in the future, and having the history of Ripple and how they carry themselves and how, you know, they emerge victorious on the other side despite the hard working American tax dollars going against innovation. You know, hopefully this shines light and gives the future generations just, you know, hope that the government can't really stop everything that they intend to.
No, well said. And no, I definitely agree with you wholeheartedly. Now that brings me to my next question. And I want to hear from you on this. The SEC, all of a sudden, after avoiding all types of questions in these congressional hearings that he had, you know, with Gary Gensler being questioned on various news stations and sources, he always seemed to never have a remark or comment on whether or not Ethereum was a security. All of a sudden now, you're hearing stories where there's documents coming out saying that over the last year, the entire year, Gary felt that Ethereum was a security, and there's notations and I guess proof of that. And yet, within a year, within that time, he refused to answer those questions. But now all of a sudden, ETH's security. I guess my question to you is this some kind of warped sense of justice, or is this just some type of smoke and mirrors in order to get an Ethereum ETF approved? Like, what do you think this is all about? Because to me, it seemed like they let the monster get way too big, and now all of a sudden you want to try to say something. So, what's your thoughts on that?
I certainly, you know, if anything comes out of this, you know, Ethereum pursuit of quote unquote justice, I don't think it'll be nowhere nearly as long standing as the Ripple case. And I say that just because, you know, Ethereum is going to have its place in this financial system, whether we like it or not. You know, right. It's documented on so many high levels. It's definitely like the testing ground for layer 2 projects built on, and, you know, the birthplace of NFTs and DeFi and whatnot. And we all know how, you know, Ethereum was just given the free reign to just develop as free as it wants to, even though it has all of the attributes of the things that SEC accused Ripple of, you know, and should have been slowed down just as much. But you know, I would say my just gut feeling is that it's just one of them backtrack things, and just on their record, hey, we did something about it, you know, hey, we tried, but, you know, it got too big or whatever. But you know, it's really rare for government officials like Gary to even experience a fraction of the punishment he deserves for, you know, having his own personal pursuits within this free market and controlling things that he sees fit. And, you know, the congressional hearings where he you know, was just stuttering and dribbling, you know, when he was confronted about things. I mean, it was very entertaining. I rewatched it many times. But Gary, you know, it's only but so much slimy things you can do before you just kind of caught in a dead end regarding just your personal pursuits with these things. But if there is an Ethereum case, it's not going to be years long, and it's just going to be just one of those things that, hey, we made sure we got all ends of it. We tied all loose ends regarding this whole crypto situation, and it will certainly be like one of like the last, you know, straws regarding before they even allow crypto to be this fully free developing new asset class in America, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think they gave a huge advantage. It's almost like a fixed fight, right? You know who's winning, so everyone's pockets got padded, and guess what? When it exploded, because, you know, they got a free pass, a lot of people got wealthy, and that's really what it's about, Smoke. Because when you think about it, some of the stuff you talk about, we don't think is going to go through the same type of legal ramifications. And, you know, I don't expect anything less. Why? Because when you look at FTX, look, we know what we know. I mean, the guy's in prison. He got 25 years, and some people think that wasn't enough when you hear it from a legal perspective. And then, you know, the question is, he'll do probably half that time. And then what backdoor deals did he get? Well, James, what do you mean backdoor? Well, out of all those felonies that he got, prosecuted on, they threw out one very important one, which is, where did everyone's money go politically wise? Who got the money? They threw that part out. So it just shows you we're in a system that they can do whatever the heck they want to do. And no matter what we feel is going to happen, we accept it because we got no choice. And so I think it's the same thing with Ethereum. I think it's going to be some kind of curveball. Even Brad Garlinghouse probably looked at it from perspective. Look, if you knew who we were really dealing with, he even said, he says, I don't think they're gonna find it a security because they're gonna find some way around it. So I definitely think that's the case. Moving into this other part, which is, what do you think? Because, first of all, they showed who they are. I think Gary Gensler is the 2024 version of Pinocchio, right? There's a puppet master, Elizabeth Warren, just kind of pulling the strings. He's nothing more than a puppet. But with that puppet, what what gives them the audacity, Smoke? And I know you've been around the block. I've been around the block for a while. I know what happens when people do this. So, but I got to ask your opinion on this. What made them think to come after Ripple for $2 billion? Where in the hell did they get that number from, in your opinion?
The $2 billion. I mean, they got quotas to meet, don't they? They got a end of the year record of their successes and losses, and if they get a fraction of that, if they get 100 million of that, 200 million, it's just going to be something that'll just go back into the pot of money that allows them to attack other projects and things like that. So I don't really think, I think the number's arbitrary. I really don't think it can mean anything specifically. I don't think it's, they had a set number where we're going to go after Ripple for. I mean, it definitely, it should be, something should be accounted for the amount of time wasted, because there's so many documentations and even institutional documentation that I've seen that noted the Ripple wins and the grayscale wins, and the SEC being considered arbitrary and malicious. All of those labels, you can't really escape those in the legal realm. That sets precedent. A respected judge has said these things about a government agency. And institutions took those wins as far as, okay, the dam is cracking regarding clarity for crypto assets and whatever. They don't really talk about like exactly people intentions, SEC intentions, Gary intentions, because that's not their job. Their job is to make money, and their job is to look at the signs where the money's going. And the fact that the institutions even take notice to Ripple wins, even though it's like a lot of people aren't really discussing as much as the XRP community, but like seeing that other people acknowledge and realize that the Ripple wins are significant for crypto as a whole is certainly something that, gave me the confidence and the faith to understand, okay, it's no doubt corruption, but we're also at the final innings of this, because, the major players at the table is acknowledging what corrupt case, and, that they're losing in this corrupt case, and acknowledging a government agency losing in anything is just significant, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't take it. I take it as about as serious as them asking for $2 billion. Like when if anybody ever watched the movie Friday and Ezel went into the liquor store and slipped and fell, so I want 100 million, but I'll sell it for $20 and some Tic Tacs or something.
Exactly.
So I
something out of it. They just need something to say that they got out of it, that it wasn't an exact waste. They think Ripple has it to just give it to them. It's all ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just a ridiculous game, and unfortunately at the cost of the American people and those who've invested. So, but let's go into and again, we're not financial advisors. Let me first say that, not myself or Smoke, but I want to ask this question because a lot of times people want to hear the answer to that. Smoke, where do you see XRP? Not specifically, and you can actually expand if you want to go based off of, following Bitcoin or versus when I believe it's going to detach itself from the market once it's embraced for what it was actually created for. But just talking from a perspective where some people might be listening in and say, hey, I like to know his thoughts. Where do you see XRP in the short term versus the long term, if you don't mind?
Sure. Short term, the future is as bright as it's ever been as far as, getting regulation done and clarity done. And, there's many videos of Brad and other, members of Ripple discussing that they've always worked with the regulators.
Right.
The fact that regulation is just on the, in the near term, and Ripple has always decided to work with regulators, launching a regulated stablecoin, never deciding to break the law, never deciding to just go around the edges or find illegal loopholes, and just figuring out exactly what needs to be done to implement this technology inside traditional systems, and working with traditional systems, working with traditional systemically important banks. The fact that this case is about to be over on the cusp of global regulatory clarity coming, that is enough reason to think that things are going to be bright in the short term as far as just adoption and usage of Ripple products. But in the long term, I can just crypto, Ripple in general, like throw it all together. You know, it's all one big movement. But crypto is just going to be as ubiquitous and significant and important as the internet is. The same platform that we're currently connecting on, that we couldn't have connected in any other way without this technology. We're going to realize and look back on it and wonder, like, how was we doing things without instant payments? How was we doing things without, you know, collateralized loaning and lending on DeFi platforms? How was we doing things without, you know, offline payments and digital currencies and having custody of our own assets? And, you know, that's what crypto is going to introduce to normal people that aren't really tech savvy. As like, there's people still getting on board of the internet to this day that, you know, never really understood all the capabilities of it. And crypto is just going to be one of those ubiquitous things because it is being built on the layer of the internet, you know, and there's you know, millions of similarities between the internet.com adoption and crypto adoption. And I was just talking to, you spoke to Mr. Man before, another brother of mine in the community, but we were just having a conversation about how when the internet was, you know, being brought to light and being, I would say, developed, there wasn't really no rails for the internet to promote it and catalyze its growth, as opposed to crypto right now, which is an internet-based technology, and we have miles and miles of internet, you know, wires underneath the oceans, internationally connecting countries and things like that. And crypto isn't trying to, you know, rip and replace these internet systems. They're just trying to build on top of it. And as we understand with the internet, we have instant information, instant video, 4K video streaming on, you know, 5G phones and things like that. So, you know, as just as ubiquitous and relevant to our day-to-day lives as the internet is, long-term crypto is certainly going to have a place like that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And continuing on with that, I want to ask, how big do you think the news, because obviously I'm a big, you know, one of my favorite games back in the day when I was younger is called Connect the Dots. And I think for anyone that likes that game and that can connect the dots right now, you have to be excited because, again, like you said, the $2 billion to me, as ignorant as it was, it showed that there was some number they're looking for, and there's a beginning of at least some talking, right? So it pushes us into a different phase. And obviously, Brad Garlinghouse came back and said, yeah, maybe 10 million. And but obviously now we're in some talks now that we weren't in last year or earlier this year. So that it kind of gives you the feeling that we're coming out of the swamp and cleaning off our shoes as everybody else is starting to enter into the swamp. The reason I say that, let's talk about. What do you feel this news with the stablecoin means for this ecosystem as a whole? Because some people were confused about, you know, the stablecoin announcement. Some people said, "Well, what was that? Does that mean that XRP is going to be $1?" And I'm thinking, so does BUSD mean that BNB is going to go back down to $1? It just makes no sense. But if you don't,
perfect metaphor.
Yeah, if you don't mind touching on that, some.
What I think everyone should look at it, in my immediate impressions of the stablecoin announcement, was another feature to the XRP ledger that it currently didn't have. Now, when you add these features like a stablecoin, that you have to think about what was the ledger without a stablecoin. It didn't have any kind of fiat currency paired to XRP backed by the US dollar that could be transacted with anyone throughout the world with, you know, US dollar capability, with US dollar spending capabilities. And I think what a lot of people don't really understand about stablecoins is that stablecoins is a growing form of payment that is currently, like, I've seen the numbers. We understand how big PayPal is, how big Visa is, how big these other, like Venmo, Zelle. Stablecoins have probably been around 2017, 2018, I guess, so whenever Tether's founded and things like that. How long has PayPal been around?
Yeah,
a long time. Visa's been around since before the internet and things like that. And PayPal transactions have already exceeded these traditional platforms.
Wow.
And when you think of regulations, stablecoin regulations is something that is on the forefront of these crypto regulations. Stablecoins is always coming first before any other kind of crypto asset regulations. And because stablecoins is like one of the first traditional steps to bridge the crypto universe to the traditional universe. It's like what's the first thing that's what people want to use digitally is digital cash. You understand? So the stablecoin announcement on the XRP ledger is just another form of it's another method in which liquidity can be added to the XRP ledger, because it gives it a whole new realm of capabilities regarding transactions, regarding fiat-backed stablecoins, USD stablecoins specifically, because you know, US dollar reserve currency. It's 80% of SWIFT transactions, 80% of international transactions. It's just a major part of how things work, and you know, people should be glad and excited to see that a USD backed stable coin is coming to one of the most regulated blockchains that exists right now. And that is just going to just lead I would say just a tidal wave of new liquidity, tidal wave of new capabilities and to the XRP ledger, and allow it to, you know, thrive and flourish in the way that it's intended to be.
Yeah, I love it, man. And shouts out to the almost 600 people that are watching us live, both on X and on YouTube. Appreciate you guys in a major way. Absolutely. Do me a huge favor. Go over and follow my brother, Smoke. His X page is at SMQKEDQG, which stands for at Smoke Dog. Make sure you guys go over and follow my brother. Very, very brilliant guys, as you guys can see, which is why I love the comment that XRP Hustled Hard says. Usually the chat is going crazy with people making comments, but guess what? Everyone's listening. So we appreciate you guys in a major way. Also, do me a huge favor. Absolutely, my man. You deserve it. And also do me a huge favor. Go over to our Crypto4Life page, guys. Give us a hit the subscribe, the notification bell, so you don't miss any of the incredible content. We have some of the most epic interviews on all of YouTube, guys, right here. If you've been around, you guys have been seeing some of the most amazing people out here, including my man, Smoke. So, guys, do me a favor. Go over again, like, comment, do all that good stuff, and hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss anything. Now, let's get right back into it. Smoke, let's talk about, I'm going to bend back a little bit here, and let's talk about something we talked about offline, which is why do you see people getting frustrated with the price of XRP? And not to say they don't have a right, but why do you think they're doing that?
Shout out to them. Shout out to the budsters. Shout out to, the people frustrated.
That's right.
Just a historical trip. I've really just seen a recent document where the institutions really are paying attention to this frustration as well. It would be really naive of us to think that these comments, this attitude, this animosity in the community is not documented and not understood, even in the realm of, as our data is currently being fed to AI machines all over. They understand us better than we understand ourselves. You understand that? Like, there was even an announcement where Facebook sold the messages of their users for $100 million in Netflix. So now Netflix can exactly cater content to how people are feeling. Our feelings drive profits. People make purchases off of their feelings and their emotions and things like that. And there was, in the document that I was reading, it was discussing the fatigue that retail has, the fatigue that we're currently feeling exiting the bear market, and even went on to cite how that there were parallels drawn in between, the frustration, as we were discussing earlier, about from the internet.com bubble.
Right.
And I'm not saying that to, put anyone in the category and put anyone in the box of, oh, you're just a, simple emotional person. You have to understand how they view you. You have to understand how they view your emotions and how they take advantage of your emotions.
That's right.
And a lot
that's what TA is, human emotions.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that institutions are focusing on this and they pull the strings, as we understand, to make us feel certain ways and capitalize at the bottoms and buy the tops and whatnot. Mm-hmm. As someone that I feel like we can all say that we were emotional about our crypto investments at one point. We thought it was going to happen at some points in time. And, it only took me a few times of making emotional mistakes before I realized, okay, this is orchestrated. Mm-hmm. This is being pushed in certain directions, and this is being manipulated in ways to get the desired results of people who are currently in power. So I say all that to say, this frustration is just a symptom of the bear market. It's just a symptom of investing into a project that has a long-term vision. The symptoms of right before in the quiet of the storm, before the boom and within these assets, within this emerging asset class. So that's the way I really look at it. I look at it as just something to be observed, something to not really get consumed by, and in a way that you should really try to avoid being emotionally triggered and emotionally bothered by when things don't go your way. I would say a common quote I hear people say is that we was promised this and we was lied to this, and no one told anyone anything specifically of the sort.
That's right. Yeah.
As an XRP holder who bought crypto on July 19th of 2022, you're going to be rich on this set day. No one was promised that at any point in time.
Right.
And a lot of people spread that narrative like we were lied to, we was told this, and it's just like, no, that's what you feel. And what you feel and what the reality is are two completely entirely different things. And when I dive into these institutional documents and share these findings, it's always a completely different story than what retail is saying. Retail, as we always know, is always what? Wrong. If they knew these things, if they knew how these markets work, they would all be rich and none of them would be complaining, but they don't. Institutions know. And unfortunately, retail is always going to be the victims of the emotional manipulation of people who are a lot more powerful than them. And unfortunately, it's going to get a lot worse with AI controlling the data and just reading all of their comments and just doing something in the future that's going to bother them in the exact way that they know that people are bothered by.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right, man. Well said. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now, I want to ask this, because a lot of times people see us covering XRP Ripple, and I always try to remind people the reason being it's the biggest story in the crypto period. I mean, you name one coin that's been bullied and put through all the things, connected to ETHGate, connected to all this, which is connected to all this stuff going on with, Wang Chang, China, Prometheum, all these different things. So to me, it's one of the biggest stories on the planet. So I just hate bullying. I like justice. I hate people who are taken advantage of. And so it's one of the reasons that I tend to cover it as much as I do now, besides also being a holder. But let's talk about why it's important to also be well diversified, not just with your portfolio, but in several things in life. If you don't mind talking about that.
Sure. I can start with your portfolio. A powerful quote that, sticks with me all the time is that diversification is for wealth preservation, concentration is for wealth creation.
Yep.
So, that's something that was it's not even something that's truly questioned that often when someone says diversify. They're like, oh, sure, I'll, buy a little bit of everything, not even realizing, that you're spreading out your investment to just capture small percentage gains and of very different projects. And, the history shows and the data shows when you focus on one thing, the gains, outperform if you would have diversified. So and that's not going to say that invest in one coin or invest in two coins. You should, if you want to create wealth, you have to pick a handful that you understand and can truly see the purpose of all of them. Something that I've realized, like I said, the person that got me in XRP, he couldn't explain the utility of any coin, but was inside of a bunch of coins. You understand? And a lot of people who were in the crypto space that are no longer here no more, they were very non-fluent in discussing the tech side of crypto. So it's like, why would you invest in something that you can't explain? Why would you invest in something that you can't fluidly have a conversation about? And just even if you know the one thing that it's good at, or the one category that it specializes in, people just say, oh, well, it's this price, and I think it's going to be this price. That was the only rationale people would have behind their cryptos, and that was just something I wanted to, break out of and truly understand. And even if the handful that I understood, I can tell you all about all of them specifically and how they're different and why I'm in them and why I've allocated this much into them. But like I said, diversification is only if you would like to preserve your already created wealth from a different, facet of your life. But if you truly want to create wealth, you should certainly focus on a set amount of projects. And that's why I definitely made sure I appreciate the fact that the ISO assets were not like a list of 50 coins.
Right.
It was only a handful, and that was extremely intentional to me. And I thought that was it served its purpose of being not a bunch of different coins, but all in their own lane, respectively, with a specific purpose, targeting its its intended utility and the problem that it was that each coin was trying to fix.
Right. No, that's huge and right on point. And I want to go into this deal here as far as where do you see crypto in the next 5 years. But before that, Kathy, it's funny because Kathy Woods over at ARK Investment, at one point she said by 2030 she saw, based off of some things that they've done with analytics and their strategies over at ARK Investments, they saw Bitcoin being at 1.4 million dollars. Then she changed it to 1.6. There's an article that just came out that I actually shared. She said now what they see with all these ETFs and other things that are happening, if for some reason most big corporations put at least allocated 5% of their actual what they're holding, she could see Bitcoin getting up to 3.6 million by 2030. Now, I'm not saying she's wrong or right. What I'm saying is, where do you see crypto based off of some of those different variables, and the fact that, hey, we just had Brad say, he sees the market doubling up towards 5 trillion or more by the end of this year. Where do you see us between now and the next 5 years, if you don't mind?
Where that put us, 2029. And this is like I definitely try to.
Or let's say 2030. 2030, I think is what she said.
2030. All right. Okay. Certainly. And this is just huge disclaimer. A lot of the I would just say, even these things, opinions that I'm sharing out my mouth.
Right.
They always come back to a document. They always come back to an institutional perspective. Right. I didn't create this technology, so I would never put too much weight on my own self. And it was something I realized a long time ago, to follow the people who know what they're talking about. Go above and go to the top. Listen to them. Listen how they're talking to each other.
Exactly.
The mainstream perspective is always slanted in some way. And I see someone said 10 trillion incoming, but
my man JC, shouts out to JC.
Yeah, shout out to JC. But I feel like that's certainly, people are definitely a lot more conservative than they should be. Is what I would say as far as institutional adoption. The amount of wealth that currently exists out in the world, the amount of wealth that, in comparison to crypto, just off top, $300 trillion just in real estate alone.
Right.
And that's not talking about equity. That's not talking about the global wealth. That's not talking about, GDPs of countries. That's not talking about the resources that these countries have.
That's right.
That's not discussing the value within cross-border transactions. That's not discussing, the amount that Fedwire moves, which is in the quadrillions. That's not discussing derivatives. You understand?
That's right. That's right.
Which is in the quadrillions as well. So, there's many, and I've shared it on my page before, and I don't have a problem, sharing it again. But institutional investors are projecting the cycle top to be up to $40 trillion in 2025.
Yeah.
You understand? That's why 10 trillion. That's that's the base case estimate. That's a 10x from where we're at now. You understand? And when Bitcoin was at 69K, back in 2021, 2022, that was a market cap of 2 trillion. Yeah. And that would be that was, we've seen all kind of crazy stuff. That was, Dogecoin making millionaires, Shiba going crazy, Doge being chilled by Elon every day. And just imagine that kind of craziness, and we're just talking about that times 20.
Yeah.
So, when we discuss, long-term, short-term prices, that's certainly within and that's not even that's just following the cycles. That's just following how the patterns of things is going. And, long-term, like I said, we're talking global real estate, which is all going to be tokenized. That's 300 trillion within itself.
That's right.
And that's when you add up all these things and the amount of value that these that SWIFT moves, that derivative moves, we're talking about quadrillions. So I'm extremely the numbers are there. The numbers are there, and there's enough. Enough for everyone. The opportunity will be abundant. If you make the right decisions and stack your chips in the right coins that you understand will be here for a long time, 2030 is not that far away.
No,
sooner before we know it.
Yeah, you're dropping bars right now because some of those things that you just said right now are so very true. People don't realize that where we're at today, smoke is not where we were at yesterday, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years. I mean, we're in a place where you can literally, I mean, it's not hearsay. You can literally see things crumbling around us. You can literally see banks quickly running off, and you see all these things, and people. You know, and it's not just people, but companies are trying to figure out where to put that money at. And I mean, there's only so much gold and silver you're going to be buying. So I think right now where I see everyone's going is moving their assets into or their money into digital assets. And so, yeah, I think that number is very well. And even Brad said he goes, I think I might have shot it a little short on that. So he came back and said that. So, yeah, I just think that, you know, when you hear things from someone like that uses a term flip of the switch, I don't think he said that in a joking way. I think he said that because I always say this, I'm excited about the things that I know, but I'm more excited about the things that I don't, if that makes sense. And so it's one thing about what you see and what you can read and the due diligence and the research, which is all the things you were talking about when it comes to this industry, Ripple, XRP, you know, utility coins or whatever the case may be. But what about the things you don't know? And a lot of that is not because they don't want to be forthcoming. It's just because they're in a position, especially the horrific position that SEC put them in, where a lot of people don't want to come to the forefront and talk about these amazing.
I mean, no, I would throw on top of that, people aren't emotionally ready.
No, hell no.
They wouldn't, even if they said, like, I post only facts on my page. People still don't believe it. You know, it's still question. It's still like, all right, but how could this be true? And, you know, if I'm not rich yet and whatnot, and it's just like, okay, I see why they don't share these things with you guys, as you may misunderstand and misinterpret and take it. And, you know, people literally read things that are extremely illuminating, extremely, you know, answer giving, and like, okay, if this is true, why am I not rich yet? You missed the whole point. You know, you missed the whole point of this. You missed the whole reason why this is even shared, why this was even documented, to, you know, foreshadow and show what's to come soon. But it's like, you know, if it's not, I'm not getting rich in the next hour, you know, majority of retail aren't really interested. And that's, you know, exactly why Brad is conservative in his opinion and his statements.
Right. But you know, the problem is smoke. And I said this several times. The greatest thing, I mean, not everyone's a 6.8J, not everyone's a smoke, not everyone's taking this for what it is. And if you look at some of the interviews that I've done, I was talking to this, my buddy was over, he's worth tens of millions of dollars. And we were talking about that. I said, look, man, there's a method behind the madness. If you look at all these minds, including smoke that I'm bringing on my show, I'm not bringing on, you know, guys talking about we're going to be 1,000 next week. I'm not bringing on guys talking all this nonsense and pumping up, you know, Shikaka coin. What I'm bringing, what I'm bringing on are people to give people validation. So, because the last thing I want people to do is say, man, I didn't realize. I think the mind can't comprehend what's going on. But like you said, there's so much crap out there, bro. Like I always say, the greatest thing about this space is anybody can do it. And the worst thing about this space is anybody can do it. Right? And that's the issue. So when you got someone like Smoke dropping facts, well, guess what? That doesn't make me feel good. What makes me feel good is the other guy saying a $10,000 XRP next month, or by the end of the, and so I think that's the problem that we have. Or you know what? It's easy to go watch a Doge, I'm not gonna say a coin, but a Shikaka coin where they got a meme that's dancing and sparkles, and people may, you know, that's the issue.
Crazy. So adults entertained by that. Crazy.
and the fact that you would just gamble or lottery scratch your family's future. I mean, you know,
hard-earned money.
You know, and if you really just add up what people spend on stuff like that, like a slot machine, a scratcher, or what if, or a shoulda, coulda, woulda, well, guess what? You would have more than enough to invest in this space. And so, you know, it's an old saying by Les Brown, you know, if you do the things today that other people won't do, you'll have the things tomorrow that other people won't have. But what are you willing to sacrifice for that? And so, yeah, you know, you might want the nice car and the beautiful rims with Armor All and all that stuff now. But what if you just sacrifice a little bit for you know, just a better scenario tomorrow? So anyways, let's get into, I know we're approaching up. We just got over an hour. We got just under 700 people watching on X and on YouTube. We appreciate you guys that made your way. Shouts out to JC, CCAS, Mountain Man, and all you guys that are here. Shouts out to my lovely queen. Who else is in here? We've got Ripple Hustle Hard. We got OMC. Shouts out to Crypto Navigator. I know he's getting ready to go start his show. Bullish Big D, Alex Wright. Just all you guys, man. It definitely means a lot to me and Smoke, you guys being here. But Smoke, let's get into this whole thing with views on BRICS, Ripple, and the international banks of settlement. There's a lot of news coming out right now, man. There's some of the moves that Ripple are making, that's making right now. What do you have to say about that?
Like I said, we kind of touched on it earlier. You know, the legitimacy of Ripple has been certainly, you know, declared through all of these partnerships and these relationships. When you say names, like you just said it casually, but when you hear names like the Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, BRICS, you know, these aren't names to take lightly. These are the people who pull the strings on monetary policies worldwide and allow, you know, certain economies to thrive or allow certain economies to operate in a certain way. And you know, when the lane that I've been down as far as looking at old videos of seeing Ripple present to the IMF, seeing Ripple present to the BIS, seeing Ripple just being in all these rooms that, you know, of extremely large banks and being the only Ripple company, the only crypto company represented in these spaces regarding the future of the financial system. That was what consistently, you know, like I said, I don't ignore patterns, you know, and sometimes when I wasn't as convicted about Ripple, I would just, you know, look up things just casually about the future of crypto, and boom, Ripple will show up, you know, just in a random presentation about, you know, the future of the financial system. Ripple will show up. If I'm just looking up a random payment infrastructure in Europe that's going to update soon, Ripple would show up in the presentation, you know, from like 2015, 2016, and things like that always made me realize, okay, don't ignore the patterns, recognize what's being shown in front of you. You know, collecting all of those documents that shown Ripple and shown them as the only company that does certain things, and just, you know, definitely one of the important things that I've heard from the Ripple, the just XRP blockchain in general, is that it's the only company that does, you know, criminal investigations on its blockchain as far as checking the use of it and giving to the authorities regarding the participants on the platform. Very few companies, or none that they said themselves, does that kind of due diligence on their own platform. So that would show how much in the regulators' hands and how much of the consumer interest that they have in mind when they was creating XRP, when they was making these partnerships, and to just make sure that they're doing the right things all the time. Yeah, all the way until the end of the moment of utility.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And shouts out to Crypto OG, says not even to mention what we don't know due to NDAs. That's a fact, my brother. The last thing I'll get into, the last question of the evening before having you say a few last words. CBDCs, your thoughts on those? Are they good, bad? What do you think?
Good and bad. You know, as one thing I've learned in this space, things are a lot more nuanced than good and bad. You understand? CBDCs, the biggest fears is the control that it may bring, the restrictions that it may bring, the permissions that they may allow or take away from us. And the first thing I would say to that is, how are you currently not under control? How can the government currently not seize your bank account and shut down your social media pages and infiltrate your phone and read your messages? And, you know, if you're doing something that they don't approve of, and CBDCs is certainly something that was always just the narrative around, is that once they're implemented, then complete freedom is over. But it's like we've seen what happened to the Canadian truckers. We've seen people who've been in, you know, I guess in the cancellation realm of society, how they just lose access to their money. They lose access to every app that they have their bank account attached to. So it's like, how is that different than with anything that a CBDC would implement on our lives? You understand? Right. So I would say a good portion of the fears are misplaced. But I would say on the pro side, this was another recent conversation I was having regarding just the goods that CBDCs may potentially bring to underdeveloped economies is that if you didn't know, you could look this up, that there's more people in the world that have access to smartphones than toilets.
Wow. Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, so a lot of people in remote regions of the world do not have access to their country's fiat currency just because of physical barriers.
Right.
Because they're just not near somewhere, or they're not near a store, they're not near somewhere that can, a job facility that can distribute the fiat currency for them to have the independence to spend their own money on their own. So if these people that have smartphones and internet access finally have the capability to have a digital representation of their money to transact on their own free will, that will give them a lot of capabilities that they didn't previously have before. So, and the last thing they worry about is control. The last thing they're worried about is having their things monitored, because all they want to do is buy the bare necessities of life and access the global economy like everyone else is. You understand? So on that realm, CBDCs will be a lot more beneficial to, just humanity in general regarding its implementation, as opposed to, another level of control that, already exists. And, if you use anything public, you have any kind of social security, logged into anything, the government knows what you're doing. And if you're on their shit list, you're on their shit list, and they're going to do whatever they want to anyway. You understand?
Right.
So CBDCs it's just program. Like you're familiar with food stamps and welfare.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just like food stamps is just meant there's money to just buy food.
That's right.
And if we have CBDCs implemented, one of the narratives is saying like, oh well, they'll just let you buy food with it. We already have something like that.
Right. Exactly.
If you don't abide by the rules of the food stamp and the welfare office, you get your food stamps taken.
You sure do.
So it's not going to be this radically new technological implementation that we've never seen before. It's just going to be another, payment method. If anything, it's going to make a lot more people's lives easier and easy to transact, as opposed to just another form of control.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I remember back in the day, man, I had, there's family members that, might have got a couple extra little booklets, a couple extra little food stamps, so that something they didn't know anything, that, they're ignorant to the fact. They're like, and you know what? They didn't just shut them off. They threw their butts in jail. So I'm telling you, they don't play with that kind of stuff. But man, look, I appreciate you. You've been absolutely incredible. Everyone here in the live now, over 700 people. On X and on YouTube. Go over and make sure you follow my man Smoke. Absolutely brilliant. Smoke, we appreciate you. It's been an honor having you on the show, man. I can't wait to connect with you in person someday and get to hang out maybe next year.
Thank you too, man. Extremely dope conversation. We definitely got to stay connected. Appreciate the opportunity to come on this platform. I think you got a super dope platform. I hope you keep it going. Continue to talk to amazing people and boost the overall consciousness of this space with legitimate information, and extremely dope vibe from you, man. I feel the genuineness. I appreciate the honesty, and hopefully we can definitely stay connected for a long time, man.
Absolutely, my man. I appreciate you in a major way. Now, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to say because you got a lot of fans, a lot of people going crazy about you. So I just want you to say your final words to them. Anything you want to say, where they can find you, where they can follow you. Anything that you want to say. Make sure you're going to utilize this time to do that. It's all yours.
For sure. Like you said, you can find me on X, Smoke Dog. Replace the O's with Q's. That's currently where my stream of consciousness is going regarding my research. I enjoy learning there every day. I enjoy being challenged. It allows me to sharpen my abilities, and iron sharpens iron. Other sharp minds that I encounter can help me, be the best version of myself. I believe I can help other people become the best version of themselves as well. My focus is just finding the answers to the biggest questions in the crypto community, and hopefully boosting everyone's confidence in this opportunity that only comes once in a lifetime.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you in a major way. For those of you guys, again, who just tuned in, the one and only Smoke, make sure you go over and follow my brother. Absolutely incredible, brilliant mind. And by the way, guys, some of the streams that we normally do, like Ladies Night on Friday, we're not going to be doing those because we have XRP Las Vegas. That's going to be this week. Now, I do have the ability to go live. So we're going to be going live mobilely. Now, I got Crypto OG that was in the audience here. He's coming in tomorrow. I'm going to be hanging out with him, and Mike O, and many others that are coming in, like Crypto Navigator. So, guys, we'll be having a lot of fun, but trying to document as much as we can this week. We'll do some videos. I'll try to get some things early on. I'll publish some things. Again, go over and promote XRP Las Vegas, which is here this week, and also go over and follow my man, the myth, the legend, my brother, Smoke. Appreciate you, my man.
Appreciate you, Doc.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Hey, guys, you have a great one, and we'll see you guys soon. It's your boy James, a.k.a. 68J and Smoke. Until next time. Peace.